Hi there, I'm Angela. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back. If this is your first time here, I'm so happy that you've joined. And today I'm going to be showing you guys 3 of my favorite new to me sewing tools. Stay tuned. Before we get going, I wanted to say thank you to everyone for all the nice comments on my last video, both on my new haircut and more importantly, on all your nice words about helping me through the struggle that I was kind of dealing with mentally with having made some poor fabric choices and now having to offload those fabrics. And so I really appreciate all the nice words and all the tips that everyone provided too on different ways to let go of fabric and make sure that it gets to somewhere where it will be used. So thank you guys. Now let's look at the tools. The first one that I wanted to show you is called the Simflex Expanding Sewing Gauge, and this is what it looks like. If you haven't seen this, you're going to think this is so cool. Watch this. It is a metal tool that folds out, kind of accordion style, sort of. And what it's used for, well, there are a lot of uses. What I have been using it for is to mark buttonhole placement. And I'll show you how this works on an actual garment, like how I used it. But it expands so that you have even distances between each one of these points here. And it allows you to mark your perfectly spaced buttonholes. And it's pretty cool. I'll show you how it works here in a moment. And it actually, the packaging, this is what it looks like. And you can use this for buttons, buttonholes, hooks, eyes, snaps, shirring, smocking, skirt, and dress pleats, drapery pleats, tucks, gathers, patchwork strips, straight strips, bias strips. The tool in many uses. I will put a link to all of these tools down below. None of them are affiliates, but you might just find the links handy. I think I got this on Amazon, but I'm sure you can probably find it other places as well. I love this, and I'll insert a video clip of how I actually used it on the Shelby dress. This next one is so basic that you guys are gonna smack your heads like, she's just now finding this and using it. So a little bit of a background. I just last year got heavy back into sewing garments again after kind of a long absence from it. I sewed garments many years ago, like a lot of them. I was heavily addicted to sewing. Then I kind of shifted focus into quilting for many years, and while I still do quilting, last year for whatever reason the bug bit me really hard to get back into sewing garments. And once I jumped back in, I'm really building up my tool arsenal, if you will. I'm finding more and more little gadgets and things to help my sewing. So don't laugh at me for this one because it's something that's been around for a long time. It is just your basic sewing gauge. And I have been using this to help me mark hems, like how much to turn up for hem allowances. And I'm sure you guys, this is not new for you, but just in case, like if you're a new sewist watching this, or you just never, like me, it never came into your world, you might find it helpful. I'll show you how this works. So it's just a thin metal stick or something, I don't know what you would call that. And it has this blue slider that slides up and down. And you mark your placement. Let's see. So if I wanted to turn up a 1-inch hem and this would help me mark it. I place this blue guide right at the 1-inch mark. So that tells me that I would fold up my hem this much, and this little blue portion here is like the stopping line. I'll also put a video showing how this works. I'll insert a little clip into there. And it goes all the way up till the whole thing is 6 inches long. The slider bar, you can move it up to about the 5 1/8 mark, and then it stops. It won't go any further than that. I love this, and now I don't know how I sewed without it. I use it all the time. Love it. And the third and last tool slash notion that I wanted to share with you guys is Dritz's Wash Away Wonder Tape. Again, I don't think that this is new. It's just new to me. This has been invaluable as I've been sewing more and more and learning how to sew with knits, like specifically jersey knits. This thing is wonderful for helping me with doing hems, like sleeve hems and mostly like the bottom of the garment hems. So I'll show you how to use this as well. So first we'll start with the expandable sewing gauge, and I actually used this. I've used it a number of times recently, but I did use it on my Shelby dress, which is laid out here with the front opening here, and I do have a couple of the buttons buttoned up still, but a few open to show you guys. And the way that this expandable gauge works is you stretch this out so that one end of it lines up with your top button, or where the buttonhole, where you want the buttonhole to be placed. And the bottom of it, I think it's let me slide the dress down. The bottom of it lines up with where you want the bottom buttonhole to be placed. So that spaces the buttonholes out perfectly evenly in between and allows you to know where to mark buttonhole placement. And with the Shelby, you can see that I made the buttonholes vertically just because I wanted that look on this dress. If you were to make your buttonholes horizontally, you could take this one step further, and once you have it placed exactly like lined up as far as spacing and like distance, if you laid this out on the piece that you're going to be marking the buttonholes, you could actually use a marking tool and mark the sewing line there through this little slot or slit in the metal, and actually mark the actual buttonhole using this tool. And I found this to be so nice. Before, marking buttonholes was so tedious, just having to measure in between each one and hoping you got it perfect. This is truly a magnificent tool. I do not understate that. This thing is fantastic. If you're not using one of these, I highly recommend that you seek one out. And next up we have the handy dandy seam gauge here. I can't remember the exact name of this tool, but I'll leave a link to this below. You can find these just about anywhere. Amazon, Joann's, any place that sells sewing supplies and notions. I think you can find these on Wall Whack. And this is not the only brand. This is a Dritz, but I know that there are other ones, and there's some that are a little larger, a little more heavy duty. This one's pretty thin. It's just the basic one, but I find it to be helpful. And the way that I use this so far, I've really only used it to mark my hem turn-ups. I think you probably could find many uses for it, though. This works better if I do it sideways. So I would say I'm wanting to mark or turn up a 1-inch hem. I would turn my fabric up, and I could just eyeball it to what I think is 1 inch, or get pretty close, and I could see, I don't know if that's showing up on the camera, but I'm a little bit short there, and 1 inch I realize is pretty deep. But it makes it very easy. You've got this ready to go. It already has your marking noted on there. Very easy. And then once you get it exactly where you want it, you could pin it, iron it down, or what have you. Before I found this thing, the way that I was marking my hem turn-ups was just using a tape measure. So I would have to turn up my hem, place this down, this tape measure end, down onto the fabric, and put the end of the turn-up piece, like the bottom raw edge of the fabric, at the 0. Make sure it was marked, it went, an exact 1 inch or however much turn up. And then I would have to keep doing that all the way around. And it seems simple, but then I'd have to place this down, line up the 0. And it doesn't seem like it would be that big of a difference, but oh, it is. Having that 1 inch right there marked for you. It's stable, it's not going to bend, it's an exact marking, ready to go. This is a game changer. I know you guys probably already know that, or maybe you all have been using it so long you might even take it for granted. Being new to me, this is my new favorite best friend, I think. And then the last thing that I wanted to show you is the Wash Away Wonder Tape. And this is a package that I'm already had opened and already using. So this is, it's about a quarter, I think it's a quarter of an inch, not that that matters too much. So say this is my garment here. We're going to use the hem example. And the way that this works, there's a sticky side that's kind of the underside of the roll there, and then the top part is more of a paper, like a slick papery. The way that this works is you would start at one end of the garment, or just pick a starting point, and you base where you place it on how deep your hem is going to be. I found that if I just put it fairly close to the raw edge, maybe an eighth of away from the raw edge, and then you iron it down onto your fabric. It already is a little sticky, but you do need to iron it down to get it to stay in place. So you just go around the whole hem edge, and once you've got it all ironed down, let it cool. Make sure it's gonna, stick really well. And at that point, you can take the corner of it at the end and just peel it, and that paper will just peel right back. And what you're left with is a little sticky strip here that you can then turn up your hem and press it down. And I found that oftentimes just doing that press down, it does stay in place. Or if it's kind of not definitely staying in place, you could do a light ironing over that to make it stay in place. Then you just hem your garment. It eliminates, at least it has for me, eliminates the need for all those pins and having to hold things into place. And the stretching, especially with jersey knits, I found this to be so helpful. And as always, if you're going to use this, be sure and test it out on a scrap before using it on your good fabric. It is water soluble. That's why it's called Wash Away. So I haven't had any issues with it, like leaving a residue or anything like that. It's worked like a charm, and it's really been helping me as I'm learning more and more about how to sew with knits. That's all I have today. I hope you found this helpful, even if these tools maybe weren't necessarily new to you. Maybe you still enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it and you'd like to see more of videos with my favorite tools and notions, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to do those types of videos. And also, I'd love to know what's your favorite go-to can't live without sewing tool or notion. Let me know in the comments. And until next time, thanks so much for watching. Bye.